From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. Radyo Pilipinas World Service can also be heard on shortwave broadcast through the shortwave facilities of the United States Agency for Global Media or Voice of America on the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.750 MHz, and 21.720 MHz. I'm your host, Leo Magpayo, and this is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday publicly brushed aside persistent rumors about his health, even performing exercises in front of reporters to prove he is very, very good. Before delivering his statement, the president did a set of jumping jacks, then walked rather briskly and jogged from the new executive building back to Malacañang Palace, telling the media he wanted to show the public he is not ill. President Marcos said he recently underwent routine medical tests and was cleared. He added that his last hospital visit was 3 months ago for a follow-up CT scan related to his previous diverticulitis, which he said has already been resolved. The president noted he only takes maintenance medicine for gout and hypertension and continues to work out 3 to 4 times a week. Malacañang has repeatedly denied claims circulating online about the chief executive's supposed illness, which the Presidential Communications Office earlier flagged as part of a coordinated disinformation campaign. The palace said it is now gathering evidence for possible legal action against those behind the false post. Despite the noise, President Marcos said he remains focused on governance, particularly addressing the ongoing energy crisis and its impact on Filipino households.
Ngayon, tiniyak ko na makita ninyo na hindi totoo yung mga sinasabi nila, na kasinungalingan yan. Kaya mula ngayon, yung mga taong yan na nagsabi sa inyo na may sakit ako, na baldado na ako, alam ninyo, puro sinungaling ng mga yan. Kaya't lahat ng sasabihin ng mga yan, kasinungalingan. Kaya't huwag nyo nang paniwalaan kung sino man yung mga yun. Now you know who the liars are and who is telling the truth. And once again, I think it's very, very easy and very clear that I'm in very, very good health. I just had my numbers are, I just had my regular blood test kasi nagpapaano ako ng vitamins and everything. And I'm fine. I'm really quite fine. The last time that I went to the hospital was to have my CAT scan to show na yung diverticulitis ko gumaling na. So that was what? 2.5, 3 months ago? Mga ganon. So that's all these reports of me going to the hospital. I haven't been to the hospital for 3 months, and even then it was just to have a CAT scan, because the CAT scan to tell my doctors if the diverticulitis has completely been fixed, and it was, and I'm done. My diet is back to normal. My exercise is back to normal. I still exercise 3-4 times a week. I'm watching my food better than before. But, so people...
Medicine, sir?
I'm sorry?
Maintenance medicine?
Maintenance medicine for, I have, 2. One for gout, which is lopurinol. Mga nasa lahi namin mga Ilocano, magka-gout eh. And the other is for high blood pressure, for hypertension. Those are the only two medicines that I take. The others that I take are no, nothing really. When I have allergies, I take an antihistamine. Pero wala naman ngayon. Uh, Aside from that, that's it. That's it. I'm not a great believer in supplements. If you eat well and you exercise regularly and you get regular sleep, yun lang medyo kulang ako yung tulog. But otherwise, everything is normal. And I'm happy to say that I'm healthy.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has ordered the removal of excise tax on liquefied petroleum gas or LPG and kerosene using his authority under Republic Act or RA 12316 to provide immediate relief to Filipino households facing rising fuel prices. In a briefing at Malacañang on Monday, the President said the suspension will translate to lower prices at once. President Marcos added that possible adjustments to excise taxes on gasoline and diesel will be taken up during Tuesday's meeting of the Unified Package for Livelihoods, Industry, Food and Transport or Uplift Committee. The decision comes as global oil prices remain unstable due to tensions in the Middle East, prompting the government to intensify targeted interventions to protect consumers. LPG and kerosene remain essential for cooking and basic household needs, especially among low-income families, making the tax suspension a key measure in managing day-to-day costs. The action is grounded in RA 12316, enacted last month, which authorizes the President to suspend or reduce excise taxes on petroleum products when global benchmarks breach specified thresholds. The move also complements ongoing uplift initiatives, including fuel subsidies for public utility vehicles and the service contracting program aimed at supporting commuters.
So sa ilalim ng kapangyarihan na binigay sa atin ng batas, tinanggal ko na ang excise tax sa LPG at sa kerosene. Ang katumbas nito ay 3 piso at 36 how much is this? 336. 3 pesos 36 ang bawas ng kada kilo ng LPG. Halos 37 pesos sa isang tangke ang mababawasan ng presyo. At 565 pesos 60 centavos kada litro ng kerosene. Ibig sabihin, mas mababa ang gastos at sa pagluluto at sa araw-araw na pangangailangan ng bawat pamilya.
That was Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Still on Monday, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. ordered a series of measures aimed at stabilizing food prices as fuel costs continue to surge due to the Middle East crisis. In a briefing at Malacañang, the President directed the Department of Agriculture or DA and the Tariff Commission to reduce tariffs on key food imports to help ease consumer prices while stressing that protections for local producers remain. To boost supply and prevent bottlenecks, President Marcos also ordered the faster processing of sanitary and phytosanitary import clearances and certificates of necessity to import, documents critical to ensuring timely entry of food products. The President likewise moved to cut supply chain costs, including the removal of toll fees at fish ports to prevent further price increases. President Marcos acknowledged that some farmers have been forced to discard produce due to oversupply and low farm gate prices. The chief executive said the DA will now purchase excess harvests to prevent waste and protect farmers from losses. Local governments will help distribute the bought produce to communities. The administration will also expand the Benteng Bigas program by increasing the number of outlets and extending operating hours with priority access for senior citizens, persons with disabilities, and single parents. The measures form part of the government's broader effort to manage food inflation and shield households from the combined impact of rising fuel prices and supply disruptions.
Inutusan ko na ang Department of Agriculture at saka yung Tariff Commission pababain ang taripa sa mga inaangkat na pagkain upang makatulong sa pagbaba ng presyo para sa ating mga namimili. Pero malinaw ang directive na ito. Hindi ito pwedeng gawing basta-basta. Bawat hakbang, malinaw ang proteksyon sa ating lokal na produksyon. Poprotektahan natin ang mga consumer, ang mga magsasaka at ng industriya. Yan ang ating hinahanap na balanse dahil everything, as you know, the economy is a complicated system. Kaya kung may gagawin ka sa isang bahagi, may epekto yun sa kabilang bahagi. Kasabay nito, pagbibilisin na rin ang pagproseso ng mga permit tulad ng SPSIC, Certificate of Necessity to Import, para mas mabilis makapasok ang kinakailangang pagkain at mas mababa ang magiging halaga. Inalis na rin ang toll fee sa mga fish port upang hindi na ito makadagdag sa presyo ng ating mga pagkain. Nakikita natin na may mga magsasaka na napipilitang itapon ang kanilang ani dahil sa overproduction sa sobrang baba ng presyo ng bili. Hindi natin ito papabayaan magpatuloy. Kaya bibilhin na muna ng Department of Agriculture ang sobrang produksyon. Makikipagtulungan din tayo sa mga local government para bilhin din ang mga gamit na ito at magamit din nila para ipamigay nila sa tao. Ang pamahalaan ang sasalo nito para hindi masayang ang ani, hindi malugi ang ating mga magsasaka at mapapakinabangan naman ng ating mga namimili. At para sa mas maraming makinabang, papalawakin pa natin ang Benteng Bigas program. Dadamihan ang tindahan, habaan ng oras ng pagbenta, lalo na para sa ating mga senior citizen, para sa ating PWD, at siyempre mga single parent. Pangapat, ibababa din natin ang gasto sa pagdaan ng pagkain mula sa pantalan hanggang sa merkado. Sa Cebu Ports Authority, sa Subic Bay, binawasan o sinuspindi ang iba't ibang binabayad na mga fees at para ito ay maramdaman ng tao at kahit tumataas ang ibang produkto ay hindi masyadong mabilis ang pagtaas o at least matigil natin ang pagtaas. So, mababawasan ang gastos mula sa anchorage, sa berthing fee, cargo handling and storage fees para hindi na ito madagdag sa presyo ng pagkain.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Monday rejected accusations that President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has failed to deliver meaningful relief amid the impact of the Middle East crisis, calling the claims a huge lie. In a Palace Press briefing, Palace Press Officer and Communications Undersecretary Claire Castro said the President continues to work, whether visible to the public or not, and remains unfazed by what she described as baseless criticism. She was responding to remarks from the Makabayan bloc, which earlier criticized the administration's response and accused the president of merely announcing possible rollbacks and limited programs instead of delivering substantial relief. The group also claimed the government was stepping back from urgent measures such as suspending excise taxes on oil. Castro stressed that the president continues to work closely with his cabinet and lawmakers who regularly provide recommendations on possible interventions. She added that the president is not affected by unfounded criticism and remains focused on serving the public.
Ang mahirap po kasi sa atin ngayon, puro tayo pintas. Puro tayo puna. Pero parang wala nagagawang solusyon, kundi ang Pangulo lamang, ang administrasyon na ito, ang siyang nag-iisip kung anong pwedeng gawin. Well, of course, meron tayong ibang mga mambabatas na nagbibigay ng suwestyon at yan naman po ay tinatanggap ng Pangulo. Pero para sabihin na walang ginagawa para maibsan ang nararamdaman natin dito sa krisis sa Middle East, ito po ay napakalaking kasinungalingan. Kapag hindi nakikita, uulitin ko po ulit. Kapag hindi nakikita ang Pangulo, hinahanap, sasabihin may sakit na ospital, kung ano-ano. Ngayon nagpapakita at nagbibigay ng ulat sa bayan, pipintasan nyo pa rin. Saan nyo gustong lumugar ang isang Pangulo, na katulad ni Pangulo Marcos Jr.? Hindi naaapektuhan ang Pangulo sa anumang kritisismo na walang basihan. Ang Pangulo po ay patuloy na magtatrabaho para sa taong bayan, hindi para dun lamang sa mga pumupuna ng walang basihan.
Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. will reconvene the Unified Package for Livelihoods, Industry, Food and Transport, or UPLIFT Committee on Tuesday as the government studies possible adjustments to fuel excise taxes amid continued volatility in global oil prices. The meeting comes after the effectivity of Republic Act or RA 12316, which allows the President to suspend or reduce excise taxes on petroleum products during emergencies. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said updates will be released after the discussion, noting that the UPLIFT body, created under Executive Order No. 110 and chaired by the President, is leading the government's response to the ongoing energy emergency driven by tensions in the Middle East. The committee is tasked with stabilizing fuel and food prices, supporting farmers, fisherfolk and transport workers, and rolling out targeted subsidies. RA 12316 gives the government flexibility to act when global oil benchmarks such as Dubai crude breach $80 US per barrel for a sustained period, a key concern for the Philippines as a net oil importer. Castro said support programs continue, including fuel subsidies, assistance to agriculture and fisheries, and the nationwide rollout of the service contracting program on April 15th. She added that current funding under the 2026 national budget remains sufficient.
Bukas po ay magkakaroon muli ng uplift meeting. At after the meeting, ibibigay po namin sa inyo ang pinaka-update. At meron na po kaming i-anunsyo. Marami pa po na maaaring magawa. At bukas nga po yung magkakaroon ng uplift meeting. Maliban pa po sa mga ibinigay na po na programa. At ito'y nai-anunsyo na po natin. Mahirap na lamang po nabanggitin natin at mauubos ang ating oras. Nandiyan po ang pag-ayuda sa transport sector. Nandiyan din po ang pag-ayuda sa mga magsasaka at sa fisherman. Sa mga fisher folk at nandyan din po ang pagbibigay ng ayuda sa ating mga commuters at ngayon po ay nagkakaroon po tayo at ipapatupad sa April 15 ang service contracting pati po ang pagbibigay ng fuel subsidy sa ating mga drivers at bukas po at kung meron pa po tayong i-announce after the meeting ibibigay po namin sa inyo bukas.
That was Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang clarified on Monday that suspending the value-added tax or VAT on petroleum products is not within the authority of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. stressing that such a move would require legislation from Congress. The statement comes after business groups, including the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, urged the government to lift VAT on fuel amid rising global oil prices. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said, "No law currently grants the President emergency powers to halt VAT collection on petroleum products," noting that the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion, or TRAIN law, mandates a 12% VAT on top of existing excise taxes, while the President has authority under a separate law to suspend or reduce excise taxes when global oil benchmarks breach $80 per barrel. That power does not extend to VAT. Castro said the administration is weighing relief measures while ensuring government revenues remain sufficient to fund key programs such as infrastructure, social services, and targeted subsidies. She added that the government is already implementing interventions, including fuel subsidies for public utility vehicle drivers and service contracting programs, while studying additional steps to cushion consumers and businesses from volatile fuel prices.
Sa ngayon, wala kasing batas na nagbibigay ng anumang emergency powers para sa Pangulo na siya ay mag-suspend ng VAT sa fuel products. Ito po ay nakasalalay po sa Kongreso. Ang Pangulo po kasi binabalansi po ang lahat, katulad na sinabi natin. Ang buwis din ay kailangan para sa pondo ng gobyerno para meron pa pong mga iba pang mga prioridad, meron pa pong mga proyektong dapat din pong tapusin. At inilalaan po ang ibang pondo para po sa pag-ease or pag-lessen ng impact nitong krisis sa Middle East.
As Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, Malacañang on Monday voiced concern over the collapse of ceasefire talks between the United States and Iran, warning that prolonged tensions in the Middle East could continue to threaten global oil supply and push fuel prices higher. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the development is not good news, noting that the Philippines, along with the rest of the world, has been hoping for a lasting resolution to the conflict. Reports indicate that high-level negotiations in Pakistan ended without progress, dimming hopes for immediate de-escalation in a region critical to global energy flows. Castro stressed that the Philippines remains vulnerable as a net oil importer, saying continued instability will likely affect petroleum prices. She added, however, that the country maintains a non-hostile relationship with Iran, which may help cushion potential disruptions. The situation is expected to be discussed in the next meeting of the Unified Package for Livelihoods, Industry, Food and Transport, or UPLIFT Committee, the body leading the government's response to the ongoing energy crisis driven by global geopolitical developments.
Of course, hindi siya magandang balita dahil ang nais po natin at pagdadasal po, hindi lamang po siguro Pilipinas kundi ang buong mundo ay magkaroon na po talaga ng permanenteng pagtigil ang sigalot dito sa Middle East. Definitely, kung magpapatuloy pa po ito, makakaapekto pa rin po ito sa produktong petrolyo. Sa ngayon, dahil meron naman tayong magandang usapan po sa bansang Iran, na i-consider po ang Pilipinas na non-hostile, ito po ay malaking tulong para sa Pilipinas. At definitely, hindi natin masasabing walang magiging epekto po yung patuloy na sigalot sa Middle East.
Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service can be heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.750 MHz, and 21.720 MHz. Radyo Pilipinas World Service is also live on audio streaming. Just download Evox PBS Receiver on your Google Play Store or the App Store from your Apple phone. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Just type in and search for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.